Reddit, what's your best joke with an unexpected twist? Two older couple were having breakfast. Old man 1, we went to the best restaurant last night. Old man 2, what's its name? Old man 1, oh, I have such a terrible memory. What's that red flower? Old man 2, carnation? Old man 1, no, the one with the thorns. Old man 2, rose? Old man 1, that's it. Turns to his wife, hey Rose, what's the name of that restaurant we went to last night? There were 3 men who were lost in the forest. They were captured by cannibals. The cannibal king told the prisoners that they could live if they passed the trial. The first step of the trial was to go into the forest and get 10 pieces of the same kind of fruit. So all 3 men went separate ways to gather fruits. The first one came back and said to the king, I brought 10 apples. The king then explains the trial to him. You have to shove the fruits up your butt without any expression on your face or you'll be eaten. The first apple went in, but on the second one he winced in pain. So he was killed and went to heaven. The second guy arrives with 10 berries. When the king explained the trial to him, he thought to himself that this should be easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But on the 9th berry he burst out in laughter, therefore also was killed. The first guy and the second guy met in heaven. The first one asked, why did you laugh? You almost got away with it. The second one replied, I couldn't help it. I saw the third guy coming with pineapples. You, sir, are a wonderful person. I haven't laughed at a joke now for ages I think. I just have heard so many. A game warden catches an unlicensed fisherman in the act. You're going to pay a big fine for all those fish in your bucket. But, officer, I didn't catch these. They are my pet fish and I just bring them here to swim. When they're done they jump back into the bucket. Oh really? This I've got to see. If you can prove it, I'll let you go. The fisherman empties the bucket into the lake and waits patiently. A few minutes go by and nothing happens. Game warden, so where are the fish? Fisherman, what fish? I heard another joke similar to this one, except it's a policeman and a stoner simweed who claims it keeps appearing in his pocket after he flushes it down the toilet. He then flushes it and denies ever owning the drugs. Buddy and his wife Edna went to the state fair every year, and every year Buddy would say, Edna, I'd like to ride in that helicopter. Edna always replied, I know Buddy, but that helicopter ride is $50. And $50 is $50. One year Buddy and Edna went to the fair, and Buddy said, Edna, I'm 85 years old. If I don't ride that helicopter, I might never get another chance. To this, Edna replied, Buddy, that helicopter ride is $50, and $50 is $50. The pilot overheard a couple and said, folks, I'll make you a deal. I'll take the both of you for a ride. If you can stay quiet for the entire ride and don't say a word, I won't charge you a penny. But if you say one word, it's $50. Buddy and Edna agreed and up they went. The pilot did all kinds of fancy maneuvers, but not a word was heard. He did his daredevil tricks over and over again, but still not a word. When they landed, the pilot turned to Buddy and said, by golly, I did everything I could to get you to yell out, but you didn't. I'm impressed. Buddy replied, well, to tell you the truth, I almost said something when Edna fell out, but you know, $50 is $50. Not mine, but it's the best one I know. Not mine, but it's the best one I know. No joke here is anyone's. Few people can create a properly funny joke. Guy walks into a bar, sits, and orders a beer from the bartender. As he is sipping his beverage, he looks down and sees a gorilla sitting at the other end. He asks the bartender, what's with the gorilla? The bartender says, oh, that's Mabel. She does a trick. Want to see it? Sure. So the bartender whistles and Mabel comes lumbering down the length of the bar. The bartender pulls out a heavy steel pipe and hits the gorilla in the side of its head. The gorilla drops to its knees and starts giving the bartender a blowjob. Whoa, says the guy. The bartender says, pretty amazing. Huh, you want to try? The guy says, yeah, sure. Just don't hit me so hard. This sounds exactly like my last relationship. A man is driving down the road and breaks down near a monastery. He goes to the monastery, knocks on the door, and says, "My car broke down. Do you think I could stay the night? The monks graciously accept him, feed him dinner, even fix his car. As the man tries to fall asleep, he hears a very strange sound. The next morning, he asks the monks what the sound was, but they say, "We can't tell you. You're not a monk." The man is disappointed but thanks them anyway and goes about his merry way. Some years later, the same man breaks down in front of the same monastery. The monks again accept him, feed him, and again fix his car. That night, he hears the same strange noise that he had heard years earlier. The next morning, he asks what it is, but the monks reply, "We can't tell you. You're not a monk." The man says, all right, I'm dying to know. If the only way I can find out what that sound was is to become a monk, how do I become a monk?" The monks reply, "You must travel the earth and tell us how many blades of grass there are and the exact number of sand pebbles. When you find these numbers, you will become a monk." The man sets about his task. Some 54 years later, he returns and knocks on the door of the monastery. He says, "I have traveled the earth and have found what you have asked for. There are 145,236,284,232 blades of grass and 231, 281, 219, 999, 129, 382 sand pebbles on the earth." The monks reply, "Congratulations, you are now a monk. We shall now show you the way to the sound." The monks led the man to a wooden door where the head monk says, "The sound is right behind that door." The man reaches for the knob, but the door is locked. He says, "Real funny. May I have the key?" The monks give him the key, and he opens the door. Behind the wooden door is another door made of stone. The man demands the key to the stone door. The monks give him the key, and he opens it, only to find a door made of ruby. He demands another key from the monks, who provide it. Behind that door is another door, this one made of sapphire, and so it went until the man had gone through doors of emerald, silver, topaz, and amethyst. Finally, the monks say, "This is the last key to the last door." The man is relieved to know that he has finally reached to the end. He unlocks the door, turns the knob, and behind that door he is amazed to find the source of that strange sound. But he can't tell you what it is because you're not a monk. Rolls eyes so far into sockets they disappear forever. A sailor and a priest are out golfing. The sailor takes his first swing and slices it hard to the left of the green. "Frick, I missed," exclaimed Theo. "My son, please refrain from using that type of language. The Lord can hear you," gasps the priest. The sailor apologizes and they proceed with their game. The sailor now attempts to chip his ball out of the brush. He gets off a good shot, but it rolls back into a sand trap. "Frick, I missed," he says again. "My son, please, refrain from such sinful language. You will anger the Lord," the priest pleads. The sailor apologizes and they continue their game. The sailor takes a whack at his ball from the sand trap. He has a great shot, landing the ball right on the green. Still, it's not good enough for him, so yet again he mutters, "Frick, I missed." The priest bursts out, yelling, "My son, the Lord will strike you down should you continue in your sinful ways. You will be punished for your sins." The sailor apologizes profusely and lines up his putt. The putt heads straight for the hole, and then runs around the rim and stays out. "Frick, I miss," the sailor exclaims, louder than before. Out of nowhere, a lightning bolt shoots from the sky. It streaks down from the clouds and hits the priest, instantly killing him. A deep, booming voice from the heavens speaks, "Frick, I missed." So I suggested to my wife that she'd look sexier with her hair back, which is apparently an insensitive thing to say to a cancer patient. So my brother's girlfriend was recently diagnosed with cancer, and when she told him, he proposed to her on the spot. So see ladies, us guys can be spontaneous and romantic. We just don't like long-term commitments. After 20 years of marriage, a guy suggests to his wife that they should invent a little code for when she wants sex so he doesn't have to read her mind at bedtime. Laying in bed one night he says, "So, if you want sex, pull my dong once. If you don't want sex, pull my dong 253 times. That's an oddly specific number. This guy was sitting in his cubicle one day doing paperwork for his company when he heard a voice out of nowhere. "Quit your job, sell your house, take the money, go to Las Vegas, He was a little freaked out by the mysterious voice, but managed to finish out his day, go home, and go to sleep. The next day he was in the shower when he heard the voice again. Quit your job, sell your house, take the money, go to Las Vegas. He ignored it and went to work, but while in the elevator going up to his office, he heard it again. Quit your job, sell your house, take the money, go to Las Vegas. Later that day, while he was in a meeting, he heard it again. Quit your job, sell your house, take the money, go to Las Vegas. On the car ride home, he heard it again. Quit your job, sell your house, take the money, go to Las Vegas. In bed trying to sleep, he heard it again. Quit your job, sell your house, take the money, go to Las Vegas. The next day was worse. He started hearing the voice every hour on the hour. Quit your job, sell your house, take the money, go to Las Vegas. He didn't tell anyone, because he didn't want anyone to think he was crazy. He tried to ignore it, but the voice was persistent. Quit your job, sell your house, take the money, go to Las Vegas. Quit your job, sell your house, take the money, go to Las Vegas. The next day, he was hearing the voice over and over and over again. It was louder than ever. Quit your job, sell your house, take the money, go to Las Vegas. Quit your job, sell your house, take the money, go to Las Vegas. Quit your job, sell your house, take the money, go to Las Vegas. Finally, the guy snaps. Alright. He immediately quits his job, goes out and sells his house, takes the money, buys a plane ticket, and flies off to Las Vegas. After he walks out of the airport and into the Vegas sun, he hears the voice again. Take your money, go to Caesar's palace. The guy hails a taxi and immediately goes to Caesar's palace. As soon as he walks into the front door, he hears the voice again. Go to the roulette tables. The guy runs to the roulette tables. Go to table 45. The guy runs to table 45. The voice says, take all your money and bet it on red 21. The guy takes all of his money and puts it on red 21. The dealer spins the wheel and the ball lands on black 17. Frick, yells the voice. Twist, the voice is his gambling addiction. Found this one on the jokes subreddit a while back. You may know it. I have an EpiPen. My friend gave it to me on his deathbed. It seemed very important to him that I have it. I'm allergic to peanuts. I use this one. What do you do if you see someone having a fit in a bath? Throw your dirty washing in. Jokes aside though, you might want to be careful telling this joke. I was at a party the other week and I told it to a guy there and he did not laugh at all. After, he told me that his younger brother had epilepsy and had died from having a seizure in a bath. Obviously I was pretty mortified, so I said, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. What happened? Did he drown? He turned to me with tears in his eyes and replied, no, he choked on a sock. During the French Revolution, there was a good deal of guillotine use. One particular day in a decent sized French town, the afternoon beheadings were getting underway and there was a large crowd of people gathered to watch. The first man brought out was a priest who the townsfolk had taken a disliking to. The executioner shoved him towards his doom, saying, any last words that the people might remember you by? The priest smiled, looked at the executioner, and said, the power of God shall spare me, for I am a holy man, and so he was put into the guillotine and the blade was dropped. The crowd gasped as the blade stopped mere inches from the priest's neck. Suspecting divine intervention, the priest walked free. The executions must continue, however, and a lawyer was brought out. He too was asked for his final words as he was shoved towards the guillotine. The lawyer said, the power of the law shall save me, for I have always fought for justice. The lawyer was placed in the guillotine, the blade released, and lo and behold, it stopped again before hitting his neck. Some supernatural occurrence seemed to be happening, so the lawyer walked free as well. In one final effort to appease the crowd, a scientist was brought out to be put to death. Like the others, he was asked if he had any final words. The scientist glanced at the guillotine, its blade gleaming in the sunlight. He glanced at the people, eager to see if the scientist would be saved by the same mystical force that saved the other two men. He then looked at the executioner and started laughing hysterically, wondering what had come over this man. The executioner asked what was so funny. The scientist, wiping the tears of laughter from his eyes, said, "You know there's a knot in the rope, right? I've nearly finished writing my book on finding the perfect way to stab someone. All it needs is a surprise twist at the end. You twist the knife. Hoo hoo hoo." Two old ladies are sitting peacefully on a park bench, wasting the day away. A man approaches who appears to be only wearing a long trench coat. As he gets closer, he lets out a cheerful "good morning. It sure is," replies one of the ladies. Soon the man is right in front of them and stops. He turns to fave them and opens his coat, flashing his privates. "Oh my," exclaimed one of the women. In her shock, she has a stroke. The other lady couldn't reach though. Classic. 3 women, best friends, go out drinking one night. They keep trying to outdrink each other, get very intoxicated, and all take separate cabs home. The next day, they are all hungover but meet up for lunch. They begin talking about what crazy drunken things they did after parting ways the night before. The first woman says, "I was so drunk. As soon as I got home I opened my door and immediately blew chunks." The second woman says, "That's nothing. I went home and took a bath, but was so drunk that I fell asleep with the water on. I flooded my whole first floor. Everything is ruined." The third woman says, "I've got you both beat. My boyfriend was drunk too and we got in a huge fight. During the makeup sex we knocked over a candle and our apartment burned down. I don't know where we're going to live." After a moment of silence, the first woman speaks up. "I don't think you understand, ladies. Chunks is the name of my dog." Okay, so this guy walked into a bar and saw a guy with a giant orange head sitting at the bar. This guy sat down and asked the bartender, "Hey, what's up with that guy's head?" And the bartender said, "It's actually a heck of a story. You should buy him a drink and see if he'll tell you." So the guy, being pretty curious, walked over to the guy with the big orange head and offered to buy him a drink. The guy with the big orange head said, I bet you want to know why I have a big orange head? Well, I'll tell you. I was using my metal detector at the beach. Ever since my wife passed I've been getting into new hobbies. So anyway, I was metal detecting on the beach, and I came across a bronze lamp about the size of my hand. I picked it up and must have brushed it because, can you guess? A genie appeared out of the mouth of the lamp. Now, I've never had this happen before. I thought this was the stuff of fairy tales. But then the genie offered me 3 wishes like you'd imagine. For my first wish I decided to wish to be the richest man alive. The genie granted my wish and told me to check my wallet. I checked my wallet, which was packed with cash and contained the deed to my new mansion. This genie doesn't play tricks, I thought. So then the genie asked my second wish. I wished for the most beautiful wife in the world. The genie granted my wish, and when I checked my wallet I then had a picture of myself beside the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. This was really great. This genie really doesn't play tricks. So the genie asked my third wish. You are never going to believe what I wished for. I turned to the genie and said, "Genie, I wish I had a giant orange head." That was so unexpected, it was a great build up to a crappy downfall. Haha. This is shamelessly stolen from a previous thread. So there was this slightly introverted high school student who had never asked a girl to a dance. It's his senior year and he feels that he should go to prom. So he musters up the courage and asks one of his friends. She says yes. Now he has to prepare for the dance. The next day, he goes to buy his tickets, and there is a huge line. So he waits, and waits, and waits. Then he finally gets the tickets. The next day, he goes with his date to go get a dress. When they get to the store, there is a huge line going out the door. So they wait, and they wait. Finally, they get to the front and buy a dress. After this, they go to Men's Warehouse to get him a suit for the dance, and there is a huge line going out the door. So they wait, and wait. Finally they get in and buy a nice suit. The next day, he remembers that he needs to order a corsage. So he goes to the local store and there is a huge line. So he waits, and waits until he gets his order in. Now it's the day before prom and he wakes up and realizes that he forgot to order a limo. So he calls up the limo rental place. All the lines are busy, so he decides to go into the place. When he gets there, he sees the line stretching out the door and around the corner. So he waits and waits and waits until finally he was lucky enough to get the very last limo. So now it's the night of the dance, and when they get to the prom, the school is doing mandatory drug testing. So there is a huge line getting into the prom. So the wait and wait. Finally they get to the front and they both pass their drug tests. Now the dance was going pretty good for about a half an hour until he really had to go to the bathroom. So he takes off to go and he sees this huge line going out of the bathroom. He waits and waits until he finally takes care of his business. When he comes out of the bathroom, he notices that a crowd has formed around his date. She had just randomly passed out. Someone says to him, "Hey, you're her date. Go get her some punch." So he goes over to the punch table and thank God, there is no punch line. I'm putting my phone down and walking away. So there's a deaf accountant who works for the mafia. One day, the kingpin mafioso is checking out the books and notices there's $1 million missing. He calls a meeting with the deaf accountant and a sign language translator. "Okay, there's $1 million missing. Where is it?" asks the kingpin. Translator says, "There's $1 million missing. Boss wants to know where it is." Deaf man signs over to the translator. "What? I have no idea what he's talking about." Translator says to the boss, "Boss, he says he doesn't know what you're talking about." Boss says to the translator, "I'm gonna ask one more time. Where is the money?" Translator says to the deaf accountant, "He's asking one more time. Where's the money?" Deaf man reiterates to the translator through sign, "Seriously, I don't know what he's talking about." Translator says to the boss, "He says he seriously doesn't know what you're talking about." The boss is now infuriated. He slams his fist down on the table and points a gun to the accountant's head. He tells the translator, "Tell this mother sucker I will blow his brains all over this desk if he doesn't tell me where the money is right fricking now." Translator signs to the accountant, "Okay, he's dead serious. You better tell him where the money is, or he's going to kill you right here." Accountant signs to the translator, Okay, I'll tell you. I hid it in a briefcase underneath my deck." Mafia boss asks, "Well, what did he say?" Translator says, "Well, boss, he said go frick yourself." A man gets on a bus and ends up sitting next to a very attractive nun. Enamored with her, he asks if he can have sex with her. Naturally, she says no and gets off the bus. The man goes to the bus driver and asks him if he knows of a way for him to have sex with the nun. "Well," says the bus driver, "every night at 8 o'clock, she goes to the cemetery to pray. If you dress up as God, I'm sure you could convince her to have sex with you." The man decides to try it and dresses up in his best God costume. At 8, he sees the nun and appears before her. "Oh, God," she exclaims. "Take me with you." The man tells the nun that she must first have sex with him to prove her loyalty. The nun says yes, but tells him she prefers anal sex. Before you know it, they are getting down to it, having nasty, grunty, loud sex. After it's over, the man pulls off his God disguise. "Ha, ha, I'm the man from the bus. Ha, ha," says the nun, removing her costume. "I'm the bus driver. I came home last week to see my girlfriend throwing all my stuff out into the front yard. I ran up to her to ask what was going on, and she told me I'm leaving you. I found out you're pedophile." I said, Whoa, pedophile? That's a pretty big word for an 8-year-old. 3 men were standing in line to get into heaven one day. Apparently it had been a pretty busy day, though, and Patrick had to tell the first one, "Heaven's getting pretty close to full today, and I've been asked to admit only people who have had particularly horrible deaths. So what's your story?" The first man replies, "Well, for a while I've suspected my wife has been cheating on me. So today I came home early to try to catch her red-handed. As I came into my 25th floor apartment, I could tell something was wrong, but all my searching around didn't reveal where this other guy could have been hiding. Finally, I went out to the balcony, and sure enough, there was this man hanging off the railing, 25 floors above ground. By now I was really mad, so I started beating on him and kicking him, but wouldn't you know it, he wouldn't fall off. So I went back into my apartment and got a hammer and started hammering on his fingers. Of course, he couldn't stand that for long, so he let go and fell, but even after 25 stories, he fell into the bushes. Stunned but okay. I couldn't stand it anymore. So I ran into the kitchen, grabbed the fridge and threw it over the edge where it landed on him, killing him instantly. But all the stress and anger got to me, and I had a heart attack and died there on the balcony. That sounds like a pretty bad day to me, said Patrick, and he let the man in. The second man comes up and Patrick explains to him about heaven being full, and again asks for his story. It's been a very strange day. You see, I live on the 26th floor of my apartment building, and every morning I do my exercises out on my balcony. Well, this morning I must have slipped or something, because I fell over the edge. But I got lucky and caught the railing of the balcony on the floor below me. I knew I couldn't hang on for very long when suddenly this man burst out onto the balcony. I thought for sure I was saved, but then he started beating on me and kicking me. I managed to hold on until he ran into the apartment and grabbed a hammer and started pounding on my hands. Finally I just let go, but again I got lucky and fell into the bushes below. Stunned but okay. Just when I was thinking I was going to be alright, this refrigerator comes falling out of the sky and crushes me, killing me instantly. And now I'm here once again. Patrick had to concede that sounded like a pretty horrible death. The third man came to the front of the line, and again the whole process was repeated. Patrick explained that heaven was full and asked for his story. Okay, picture this, says the third man. I'm hiding naked inside a refrigerator. Saint Peter. 3 men wash up on an island after a shipwreck and are captured by cannibals. The cannibal chief said, I like you white men, so I will allow you to choose the way you die, and he lays out an assortment of weapons they had collected from shipwrecks over the years. The first man grabs a flintlock pistol and shoots himself in the head. Then, 3 warriors take him, skin him, and make him into a canoe. With no guns left, the second guy picks up a knife and slits his throat. 3 warriors skin him and make him into a canoe. The last guy looks at the weapons and asks for a fork. The chief says a fork would be a most painful way to die, but I promised you a choice, and has a fork brought forth. The last man starts stabbing himself all over, shouting, frick your canoe. Frick your goddamn canoe. There is a fly flying about 12 inches over a lake with a fish swimming below. Thinking if the fly drops 6 inches I can jump and catch it. Meanwhile a bear on the edge of the same lake sees the fly and thinks if he drops 6 inches, the fish will jump after it and I can catch it. Across the same lake is a hunter eating a sandwich watching bear and the fly, thinking if the fly drops and the fish jumps I can shoot the bear as he catches the fish. Behind the hunter is a field mouse who sees the cheese in the hunter's sandwich and the bear, thinking if the hunter goes to shoot the bear he will drop his sandwich and I can go get the cheese. Meanwhile a cat is eyeing the mouse and the hunter, thinking if the hunter drops the sandwich the mouse will go for the cheese and I can catch the mouse. The fly drops 6 inches. The fish catches the fly. The bear catches fish. The hunter shoots the bear. The mouse eats the cheese and the cat overshoots the mouse and lands in the water. Moral of the story: every time a fly drops 6 inches you get to wet pee. This is Reddit. No flies are making wet pussies. At my last workplace a friend and I invented a game called The Good, The Bad and The Ugly. The aim: to create a short series of statements under those headings that would make the other cringe and laugh at the same time. This was considered one of the winners. The good: a new girl has started at work. She's hot, she's amazing. You can't stop thinking about her and fantasizing about her. The bad: she's the daughter of the boss. The ugly: you're self-employed. One of my favorite jokes: my grandfather was sick so we took him to the hospital. He started to recover, but then the doctors decided to put butter on his entire backside. After that, he went downhill very quickly. A man wants to buy a motorcycle and finds a great deal on one. He tells his girlfriend that he is going to go look at it and she says okay, but hurry up, we have dinner with my parents at 6. So he leaves and goes to look at the bike and it's absolutely gorgeous. He asks the owner how he keeps it so clean and shiny. The man says, I always have a tube of Vaseline and if it starts raining I go out and rub the bike down. Well, the man buys the bike and rides it home and grabs his girlfriend, then they take the bike to her parents' house. She stops him as he is walking inside and says, my parents have this weird thing about the dinner table. Whoever talks at the table has to do the dishes so nobody says anything. He thought this was strange but went in anyway. There were dishes piled ceiling high all over the house. He thinks, man, this is weird, maybe they are just messing with me. Well, after about 5 minutes of eating he realized they are being serious, nobody has made a peep. So he decides to test their patience. He leans over and gives his girlfriend a big kiss on the lips. The parents are a little rattled at this but don't say a word. Then he thinks, I'll get them to talk. Then he bends his girlfriend over the table and proceeds to have sex with her right there in front of her parents. When he was done he looks and her parents are furious, red in the face but still don't say a word. Then he thinks, hey, her mom is pretty hot. I think I will bang her too. So he bends her over the table and proceeds to have his way with her. When he was done he looks at the father and he practically has steam coming from his ears. But still he doesn't make a peep. Just then there was a big clap of thunder outside. The man stands up and grabs the tube of Vaseline from his pocket. Alright, the father yells, I'll do the fricking dishes. You. Why'd the chicken cross the road? Other. I don't know. You. To get to the idiot's house. You. Knock, knock. Other. Who's there? You. It's the chicken. I want to die peacefully in my sleep, like my grandfather. Not screaming and yelling, like the passengers in his car. I used this in class before. Drop it suddenly, like it's a deep personal revelation. Pause in the middle for best results. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.